Hello and welcome to the International Pentagon Challenge. My name is Kyanite and together we'll be embarking on a very special Football Manager journey where we'll aim to try and win every major international competition in all 5 continents, forcing our hand to play with hundreds of different types of players and most importantly hopefully create loads of awesome different types of tactics along the way. Once that's complete, only then are we allowed to set our sights on the biggest of all goals, the FIFA World Cup. How many nations will we have to manage until we work our way to the top? How many dodgy names will we have to pronounce along the way? So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun along the way. Alright, hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of the International Pentagon Journeyman, whatever the hell you want to call it, challenge. It is finally, I mean it's taken until 2019, but it is finally going to be our first competitive game on this save as an international manager, and it's in the Total African Under-23s Championship qualifiers second round first leg. If we take a look at the preview, odds wise we are the favourites to take the win. And we'll go through what we're going to tweak tactically once I've actually gotten to that side of things. I think because we don't have any scouts, because we don't have that much information on Egypt, other than the fact that they probably are going to play a 3-5-2, because that's what they most recently played in one of their most recent friendlies. Obviously, another thing we can do is take a look at their manager. 44 years of age, so a little bit older than me to say the least, and take a look, obviously, at his second preferred formation, and just really get to grips with his playing style, pressing style and so on. But truth be told, it's not really much information, so we're just going to try to kick things off by looking to really try and just exploit the Egyptian shape as a whole. And I think the 3-5-2 should be okay up against a team like us who have very good players out in wide positions and have a lot of pace. Okay, so tactically doesn't really look too different from what we saw in the last episode, but I have made small tweaks here and there, and actually I still want to make one more tweak on that note, just remembered now. So obviously we're going to look to try and get the ball to Luke Bacchio as much as possible, simply because he's our danger man. He's a guy we really want on the ball, and at the same time he's pretty tall and he's got 15 jumping reach. So, you know, if we can play direct balls to him and quickly try and turn defence into attack, I think we'll be laughing, really. Looking at how Egypt will line up. Now, I've got a funny feeling they aren't going to line up in this 3-5-2, simply because it just doesn't make sense to line up against us in a 3-5-2. But really, in terms of countering them and stopping them playing, obviously most of their strength is going to come through the middle of the park. You can see that there's space for us to try and exploit on the counter-attack, but we also have to be careful because when you play against teams who have 2 players up front themselves, they can also be pretty good in turning defence to attack. So, our plan of action: Rutikanga is going to stay on as a ball-winning midfielder in defence, but if we feel like the strikers are causing us too many issues, we can always change him to an anchorman. I've told him to mark tighter as well, and once we actually see what Egypt's starting lineup looks like, I think they're still going to play with 2 up front, so he's going to be told to basically man-mark the more deep-lying forward, because the way I see it is this guy's playing extremely offensive, and if we can stop the service to this guy and stop him, who's really going to be the main link between the midfield and the attack, we'll be laughing. The fact that obviously we have 2 men down the wings versus their 1 is going to be pretty useful for us as well. So most of their attacks are probably going to come through Hassan, but generally speaking, Lubala is going to be on support for that exact reason. It means he'll be a little bit more defensive to help Chiembe. Normally we play Kalulu at right back, but he is currently injured. He returns to training tomorrow, so he might be back for the second leg if Chiembe doesn't have a great game. Fullbacks on support. Bola makes his debut under my management. He was obviously a part of the regular Congo side the last time we played a friendly against Kenya, so it just goes to show that on paper he is a decent player, this lad, so he's worth a shot. Mambo and Jate, standard positions at the middle of the park. Kobo's no longer attacking, he's on support, but I feel like the fact that we've got this triangle of 3 in midfield should be okay for us tactically. There is a chance that we might obviously get over flood in the middle of the park, so for that reason we're going to look to clear the ball to the flanks. This is our home leg. I need to win this leg. We're going to play with a slightly deeper defensive line simply because I've got no idea how much pace is actually on the Egyptian forwards, and we're going to increase our width a little bit as well to try and stretch that Egyptian midfield. They've got less players out wide. It's the wide areas we want to look to exploit, and as the game progresses, as we up our mentality, Bangu's mentality will also increase. Now, depending on what we see, I might look to turn one of our fullbacks into an inside fullback or whatever, an inverted wing back. The reason behind that is if it seems like, for example, Farouk on this left-hand side isn't actually getting forward much, keeping in mind that my wingers are going to be told to man mark their wingers, I can tell Bola to come inside into the middle of the park more, and then if we're on a more offensive mentality, Bangu and Kobo will start making more surges forwards. And it is so important in this kind of system, against this kind of system, that we have a lot of players surging through the middle. Right, we'll have players surging out wide without a problem, but when it comes to getting the ball into the box, you've got a lot of centre-backs to deal with. So if we can get more of our midfielders to rush, make late runs into the box, it gives the Egyptian defence more to worry about, and it gives us more to cross to. So that's it really. Again, keeping things pretty simple. I have actually done some corners, which I'll talk about now. So in the air, we don't have players who are that good in the air. To be honest, our main threat from the air is Luke Bacchio, right? So let me just swap these two, because when I first did it, he was playing on the right-hand side and now he's playing on the left-hand side. So for that reason, we're just going to look to try and get our crosses to the back post. We've not actually put anyone on the near post, but I've also made sure we've got quite a few people lurking outside the box. Get the ball towards the far post, and because we've got quite a few people lurking outside the box, it should prevent us being counter-attacked. But simultaneously, if for some reason flooding the back post means that we can't get a header on target or something, if it bounces back out to the edge of the box, I also have some decent players on the edge of the box. Jan Kitala is going to try and attack the ball from deep because he's a very pacey player, and the defenders might struggle to keep up with him as he makes a late surge into the box. But obviously our best technical player in Bangu is lurking outside the area, ready to bang in a long shot should he ever find himself in the position to do so. So quite simple really, not really reinventing the wheel. And look, it's the home leg. I'd like to win by at least 2 goals, so we can really go into the second leg without too much to worry about. But again, it's very difficult to anticipate what is going to go on, given that we don't really know much about the opposition. If we take a look at the Egyptian side, I'm not really sure whether or not we can see their fitness levels. No, we can't, which is a shame. Obviously, if we'd scouted them, we would have been able to. But knowing my luck now, I'm going to click Submit Team, and they're going to end up playing a 4-4-2 or something. And the reason why I think they are going to play a 4-4-2 is, I think, a bug in the game that I've only just discovered. So, obviously, the game knows what Egypt are probably going to be playing. Now, this tells me they're probably going to be playing a 3-5-2. Yet, when I go onto Rutikanga and choose to mark a specific player, it clearly shows that they're playing with 2 defensive midfielders, a midfielder right and midfielder left, and 2 strikers, and a back 4. So I'm not sure if I've discovered some kind of bug that kind of gives me a bit of intel on what the other team are actually playing. But if they are playing a 4-4-2, I think that's completely fine. We can just change the odd instruction here and there, but generally speaking, I think we're ready to rumble. Okay, yeah, so we've discovered a glitch in the game. Egypt have actually played 4-4-2. Okay, for the love of God, I think Kitala's going to really struggle to get the ball, and obviously they know we're going to be playing a crossing game, so they're kind of flooding the middle of the park there. It makes sense that they're doubling up on the wings, given that obviously we play with wingers ourselves, but I'm not really too worried. I don't really feel like too much has to change in terms of individual player instructions, but I did kind of add like Mark tighter onto Kobo and Bangu. So I think with Bangu, I can get rid of run wide with ball. The idea behind him running wide with the ball was that we were going to have more room in the wide areas of the pitch, so I don't need that anymore. And we can keep Mark tighter on Bangu, but we won't tell him to get further forward. That way we can always make sure if Kobo goes missing, we at least match their 2 in the middle of the park. Chiembe and Bola will stay the way they are for now. I'm happy with Lubalu and Luke Bacchio still looking to really tackle hard and close down more, because I do feel like a lot of the Egyptian threat is going to be coming from out wide. We somehow magically have a tactical familiarity all of a sudden. Okay, I'm not going to moan about that. I'm not really going to look to clear the ball to the flanks. I'm going to look to exploit the middle, and instead we're going to look to retain possession a little bit, you know, just going straight into the game, and we're going to play a little bit more narrow because I feel like we now hold the advantage in the middle of the park as opposed to them, and we're going to constantly look to outnumber them in the middle of the park. So if they're playing quite a high pressure game and they start closing us down a fair bit, then we can start then looking to get the ball wide, and it makes more room for our wide players. It looks like we're probably going to see the national anthems. Here we go. We are going to start things off on comprehensive highlights, and straight away we see the direct ball forward from the Egyptians. They've got a free kick early on. Yeah, Ramsey is going to pick the ball up. That's a great tackle. And now this is our chance to really look to counter. Kitala, can he find Luke Bacchio? He can. Luke Bacchio has a fullback who's actually going quite offensive here, joining in. Ball into the box. Bangu wins the header. Kobo's going to shoot. And Abdul Musalim clears the ball. So far, so good. We've been given the ball away a fair bit in these wide areas where we're immediately getting highlights. Now, the reason why I want to really start on the reason why I want to really start on comprehensive is because it just gives us a rough idea of how the Egyptians themselves are going to be looking to play. One area we've been very good, though, is counter-attacking, but we've not really been able to do much once we've gotten the ball into the box. Now, Samir is a target man, so they are looking to play on the counter-attack themselves. Ramsey and Ramadan both as wingers on support. Nedved as a ball-winning midfielder, and Abdul Gawad as a deep-lying playmaker. So once again, most of our attacks have come through Luke Bacchio down, you know, those kind of wide areas, but I kind of feel like he needs a few more options once he gets into that final third. So Kobo will now be changed to attack once again. And I wasn't really too pleased with how offensive Bowler was getting, but we'll stick with it for now. Still really early days to jump to conclusions, I think. But one area we've been pretty good is actually counter-attacking. So for that reason, let's get rid of retained possession. Let's go a little bit more direct and see if we can create a few more chances. Lumanza should be playing that out wide to Luke Baku, but instead he plays it to Lubala. We get the balls. We've got 3 in midfield. We win the second ball. Rutekanga will allow Luke Bacchio to use his pace, who whips the ball in, and Kitala hits the crossbar. The Egyptians have hit the bar once, and, well, we've hit the bar ourselves. Bangu tries to play the ball forward. You can see that extra man in midfield is just helping us kind of recycle that second ball. And, well, I was going to say all our attacks have really come through Luke Bacchio on that left-hand side, but he was offside. Now, I'm not really happy with the amount of free kicks we've been given away, but the advantage is that the Egyptians have been throwing a lot of men forward as a result of them. So can we get this ball into the box? Bangu, oh, is in a great position. Good defended by Njate, and we look to recycle. Bangu is, well, going to play a bit of a poor ball there, and now it's the Egyptians with a chance to counter-attack. I do actually feel like my fullbacks, I've got to be honest, my fullbacks are just getting forward a little bit more than I would like. We're going to make them inverted wing-backs. Obviously, I've already kind of discussed the reasoning behind wanting to make them inverted wing-backs, and as a result as well, I'll make Bangu an attacking central midfielder. Granted, though, most of the Egyptian attacks have come from out wide, but I'll find that the inverted wing-back should hopefully be a little bit more conservative on defend than what we've seen so far. Because, to be honest, most of our strength on the wings is going to come from the wingers, so we don't actually gain too much from using regular fullbacks, where they're going to be looking to overlap, basically. So if you take a look, we've had most of the possession, right, which is good. It's about making that possession count now. So we're going to switch to an attacking mentality. I'm pretty happy with the width as it is, and yeah, just leave things the way it currently is. Obviously, going to that slightly more attacking mentality should hopefully just see us try and get the ball forward a little bit quicker and into the final third a little bit faster, and we'll see where that takes us. Closing down coming in from our wingers, and it's a direct ball straight away to Samir. And even though we're playing a deeper line, the Egyptians managed to break through. The Egyptians start getting one too many opportunities. This is Route 1 football from the Egyptians, isn't it, really? And they're leaving these defensive midfielders to sit deep. It's very, very difficult to kind of try and break this kind of play down. Luke Bacchio once again offside. We've struggled. and given the fact that the game's really been incomprehensive, it's been kind of underwhelming the amount of opportunities that we've actually managed to create. Luke Bacchio has looked quite lively. And that's a great ball into him, and he should really score there. But we can see the inverted wing-backs there not going anywhere near as wide and forward as they basically were when they're playing as regular fullbacks, and it allows us to kind of be a little bit more defensively resilient where the two Egyptian strikers are. It really is now, it feels just a case of really trying to break him down. I think this is the first corner we see as well, so it should go over to the back post. Bangu on the edge of the box should be ready to take the long shot. It's another cross coming in, but once again, the Egyptians just seem better defensively than we are offensively at dealing with balls into the box. I think I'd like to see more shots from outside the box as well. So we might turn work ball into the box off come the second half. That's a great ball to Kitala, but nothing came of it either. And you know, we're knocking. It feels like in terms of opportunities, in terms of looking clinical in the final third and creating chances, we have been better than the Egyptian side. And this is what we want now. Bowler picks the ball up, a chance to counter-attack, but doesn't quite materialise. I think now going into the second half, against Kenya, it was 0-0, and then we tweaked things at half-time. So now it's just up to us to look to tweak things once again. We know they're playing a 4-4-2 now at least, and I'm not sure whether or not we may have actually learned something about the players. Unfortunately not, but okay, let's see how we're going to try and change this. Okay, so I'll try and cover most of the changes we're going to look to make. So basically, Bowler's now going to be a fullback, simply because I feel like he can offer us a lot of pace out on the left-hand side, you know, just to give the Egyptians an extra man to close down. And to be fair, they've not created that much offensively. Most of their attacks have been down Chiembe's side, so I think we'll be okay within that regards. And to kind of like make up for it, Ruti Kanga's now going to be a halfback. So as a result, as well as the fact that we're playing a more attacking mentality, we've upped our defensive line and we're looking to play the offside trap a little bit more. So they should obviously turn into more of a back three with this guy kind of like existing and supplementing the midfield whilst Bowler kind of pushes forwards. The second player pushing forwards should also give Luke Bacchio a little bit more room. Because instead of him being kind of like a 2 versus 1 situation because of how deep the Egyptians are playing, Bowler joins in on the action as well. Kitala, well, I mean, I actually changed him to a poacher. I'm not exactly convinced, so I'm going to change him back to a deep line forward, so feel free to ignore that. Lubala's not had the best of games. Could maybe look to up him to attack if it, you know, approaches the 60th minute. We've not really scored. And Matondo is going to be subbed on for Joe Kobo, who I feel like hasn't really done much. Lubala's not had a great game. We do have some decent players to come on the right-hand side, should we really require it to occur. But I think if that does happen, in fact, we've only got 7 subs. I swear to God we had 10 subs. It didn't tell me I had too many subs, so we don't have any right-sided players. Well, that went well. Okay, so any right-sided players we do have are left-footed, so it would most likely see Luke Bacchio really become more of a inside forward, looking to try and help Kitala out, and we look to get a bit more width out there on the left-hand side. But as we saw, most of our attacks kind of came from the counter-attack, utilising pace, and really just looking to get the ball to Luke Bacchio, and that's what we've got to do. He's finding room behind. Oh, for God's sake, that is really annoying. He's finding room, like, behind the Egyptian fullbacks. It's just a case of actually getting the ball into the box. So I've changed low crosses to now be mixed crosses. Again, it's kind of like we have a lot of pace, so playing a crossing game makes sense, but we just don't have that big striker in the middle of the box to actually get on the end of them. I was kind of contemplating going to a 4-2-3-1 and playing kind of that attacking midfielder, but the fact that they've got, like, obviously the 2 centre-backs and then the 2 defensive midfielders, I feel like we'd just be playing into their hands, whilst at the moment I feel like we've been the better side. It's just been a case of actually creating chances where we've struggled, and hopefully getting Bowler involved a little bit more is going to help us do that. So let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, these guys are both on attack. I want to give them the ball and have them, you know, start to thread the ball through forwards. So we need to make changes from that side of things. As much as I am tempted to keep Luke Bacchio up there, I'm actually going to look to utilise his ability up front instead. Now, it's kind of a tough one what we go with, but I really want to use the pace that he offers, 15 acceleration and 16 pace. Now, it feels like an inside forward could potentially do the job. All right, let's do it. Lubala's on a 6.3 now. Luke Bacchio will come on as an inside forward, looking to exploit that flank now. One thing I am going to tell him to do, I want him to thread balls through to Kitala. So for that reason, I think I'm going to change Kitala to more of a poacher. Tell Luke Bacchio to play slightly more risky passes, but sit a little bit narrower. And I want these guys to try and play, you know, a few more risky passes too. I don't think we've really got anything to lose. This guy is a playmaker, so he'll really naturally be looking to do it, but I'll tell him to get further forward as well. This guy automatically gets further forward. We need to bring on a left midfielder now, and really, I just want the best crosser of the ball I can find at the moment, and it's either going to be, well, I think it is going to be Albert, to be honest. He didn't really impress me against Kenya, but I am willing to give him a go out on the left-hand side. But what I'm trying to do now is just, I want us to be a little bit more patient once we get into the final third, or actually give the ball back to the midfielders rather than try and cross it in, because it's quite evident that we've not got the striker in the middle of the park to actually, you know, break through. And it makes me wonder whether playing a more patient style of play would maybe help us reap the benefits. I just want to win this game, so even if we win 1-0, it wouldn't be too shabby, really. I'm going to tell him not to play the offside trap, because I have seen some small, slight scares in terms of how we've been defensively on the counter-attack, but let's see where that takes us now. So Lokonga is going to get substituted on. Rutikanga will head the ball down to Matondo, and he finds Kitala, who, well, span around for the shot, and nothing came to it at the end. It got deflected. Lokonga takes the corner towards the back post. Bangu, as we really expected him to do, picks the ball up on the edge of the box, and it's a bit of a terrible cross, that. One thing I noticed was that Lokonga, when we mounted that last attack, was maybe not making the late surge into the box that I wanted to see. Kitala will shoot, and it's saved by Fekri in goal. Once we get the ball in that final third, I'd maybe like to see us be a little bit more patient. So, for that reason, we're going to switch to a controlled mentality. Let's slower the tempo down a little bit. Still keep passing directness on mixed. Look to retain possession. And tell the lads to be a little bit more expressive and work the ball into the box. Hopefully now, I kind of just want to really see us, like, we get the ball, be a little bit more patient, play it sideways a little bit. You know, don't rush things. This is nice now. I feel like we've got Egypt where we want them. It's just about finding that killer pass. And oh no, I was going to say there it was. The lack of a striker comes back to haunt us. And that's all the Egyptians have offered. It's all the Egyptians have offered, that direct ball forwards. Bangu now. It's going to play a direct ball forwards to Luke Bacchio. The amount of times I've said direct ball forwards. If I got paid £1 every time I said that this game. Kitala shoots and it's wide of the target. If I got paid every time I said that, I'd probably be a millionaire by now. So Njate, I don't like the fact that he's on a yellow card. So for that reason, Kalala's naturally going to come on in his place. Let's tell Sambi to go attacking. I'm going to change it back to a deep lying forward simply because we are trying to play with more of a controlled passing mentality. You see, it's really tough for Luke Bacchio because a part of me wants him to play up front. 20 minutes to go now, and it makes me wonder, this is the home tie. Is it time to maybe go to up front? If you ask me, I think it is. So the question now is how we're going to look to change this game. Okay, I feel like we need to try and grab a goal. I mean, I've changed it around a lot, but despite being the better side and trying to exploit certain weaknesses we've managed to spot, we've not really found that final killer pass, have we? And it feels like we do seriously lack a striker. So we're going attacking. We are going to put Luke Bacchio up front as a poacher, simply to get him to basically stick to the shoulder of the last defender. From there, hopefully, he can use his pace. Bangu's been brought down to support, simply because, let's be honest, we're playing with no right winger, so we're going to have to be careful on this side of the pitch. Matondo will stay as a playmaker, and Sambi Lokonga will also be on attack. And maybe, just maybe, we can use that pace and start making surging runs going forward. If we reach like the 85th minute, it won't hurt to bring Matondo in as maybe a playmaker or a shadow striker and move Rutikanga into a two-man midfield. But once again, we have to be careful because giving the Egyptians a goal on the counter-attack could end up being quite costly in this kind of scenario. Kitala will also become a support just to try and shore up that side a little bit. Going more direct, pumping the ball into the box. I just feel like there's something... We need to try and utilise Luke Bacchio in the box. But can we hoof this ball forward to Luke Bacchio? The answer is yes, and he does win that ball. Kitala is going to play it back towards the midfield. Sambi finds Luke Bacchio, who finds Kitala. Kitala's just been tripping over his own feet this game. It has to be said, he's not had a good game for me. Not had a good game whatsoever. What are we doing here? Oh, for God's sake. For God's sake, that was poor. Okay then, so we're going to look to play a little bit wider. Segundo volante for Bangu, which means he is more of a defensive midfielder, but he'll look to try and get involved in the midfield a little bit more. We are actually going to drop a little bit deeper, but go a little bit more route one, so we can just try and get the ball to these lot. 2 poachers now, 2 playmakers. You know, Egypt are playing with 2 defensive midfielders and 2 centre-backs. It's just that wall, really, and we've not got someone to get in on the end of the crosses, which is really our strength. So hopefully we can stay solid enough at the back and maybe create 1 or 2 more chances. He's going to pick the ball up on the right-hand side. Mambo clears with the header. And off. What is that pass? That pass was dreadful. And come on, get it forwards. Luke Bacchio now needs to use his individual quality, and then 2 defensive midfielders they're just marking really our 2 strikers. Kalala though, I think Luke Bacchio could be offside. He is offside. See, that's the idea. That's what we're looking to do. The Egyptians are throwing men forward now. It kind of helps when you know how to control the ball. That's a good ball if he can pull it back to the edge of the box, but he's offside. He's offside. Come on. Let's get some width going. Let's get him supporting. We kind of don't really have much of a choice here. Let's get these 2 attacking, and as a result, he'll be a volante on support. Kitala, he is naturally a winger, so come on, show us what you can do. And well, that's underwhelming if you've ever seen it. Fekri, he's going to roll the ball out. He's going to play the direct ball forwards towards El Badri, and Jesus Christ. What a game this has been. It's been a battle, but this is what you get with international management. It is just what you get with international management. You know, you don't have a transfer window to bring in players to play the style of football you want to play. We're kind of going in search of a goal at the moment, and to be honest, our passing in midfield has been dreadful. Dare I say it, I think ever since we made the change towards a more narrow approach, I think Egypt have really been the better side. Can we have at least 1 more half-decent attack now, though? Look at Bacchio, wins the ball in the air. I think our midfield passing has really let us down in terms of trying to find that extra bit of creativity. Need to give it to the wide man. And this is nice, but what are we going to do with it? Ball whipped in, and it's cleared. And once again, we're offside. Once again, we are offside. They've had more shots than us. We've had 2 clear-cut chances to their 1 clear-cut chance. We've completed more passes. We've won more tackles. I think overall we have been the better team, but we've not really been able to capitalise playing on home soil. Trying to be positive, I think we go to Egypt. We play the way we want to play in terms of look to utilise width again. And hope that, like we did against Kenya, hope that our players do get on the end of something in the box. I might actually switch to a bit more of a 4-2-3-1 and look to maybe pressure them from the front a little bit more and try and force them into playing those more hoof balls forwards. If you look at key passes, we had more key passes, more clear-cut chances, but it just wasn't meant to be. I think I'll just calmly tell the lads I'm not really happy with what I've seen. On the plus side, Chishembe, or whatever he's called, had a decent game, and that is going to be it for this episode. So I mean, this is what the series is going to be like. You know, games, we're not going to have many of them, but when we do, it's going to be pretty intense. And yeah, I mean, I think I've got to own up and say I think I maybe was changing it around a little bit too much at times. But yeah, I just really wanted to chase that goal on home soil. But on a positive note, we've not given them an away goal. I'm not really sure whether or not away goals are even a thing in this. So we can take a look at the rules. So it doesn't away goals used if scores are level after 90 minutes. So defensively, I know we can take Egypt on, and I know all Egypt have is that direct ball going forwards, and that we're a better team than Egypt, as we saw in that last game, I think. So as long as we can stay defensively resilient, which I'm sure we will do, it's just about finding that one goal and sitting on it, really. So until the next episode, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This save is really interesting but different to, I think, anything else out there, which is why the tempo's a little bit strange and whatnot. But those who kind of watch my Blackburn save in FM17 will know that this is how I like to play the game. Real slow, methodical, and kind of like treat it like real football management, and tweak as we go along. And honestly, just no tactical familiarity and all that jazz, and not being able to scout players at under 23 level is going to make our life really difficult. So I just can't wait till we reach the point. Hopefully we'll reach the point where we get a chance to manage a real national side. And it does feel like this Congo side, or as a nation as a whole, is a nation that we can do well with at an under 23 level in our continent. But until next time, thanks for watching.